So, my name is Tim. I drove all the way from Grand Rapids today. It's a really long drive. So I'm with a team called Symposia that has an office in GR and in Holland. There's about a dozen of us planning on hearing about it today. So we're going to have kind of just an informal conversation. I'm going to pull up the Facebook ads platform, and we're going to walk through 3 different buckets. So feel free to interrupt. I'm from New York, so I'm good at dealing with people that want to interject. Before I get into that part of the conversation, though, just kind of a quick lay of the land. In case you didn't know, and I know you all knew because you're all super smart, Facebook and Instagram, like big thing that you have to keep in mind is that ads that look good on Facebook don't always look good on Instagram. So other than the content, the targeting, the data, the stuff we're going to focus on today is the same. So the first bucket that I want to talk about, because Terminator 3 is happening, right? So how many of you are running Facebook ads or Instagram ads? Cool. Good. So I'm talking to smart people. I figured that was the case. So let's talk about what Facebook, Instagram already know. I've got here about 12,000 stuff that you sell. So they're the perfect target audience. When we're building a cold audience, our goal is really to build what I would call a psychographic profile. So a lot of people make the mistake of living out on that boost button. Google also shut down Google Plus yesterday.
Yay!
So Google has one called Google AdWords Express, and it's about the same as the boost button. And the way that those are the same is that they both suck. Their targeting is 1% of what you can actually accomplish. Your goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to give the money. How many people have recently or within the last day? This is what Facebook knows already. I'm going to build out a little bit of a psychographic profile, and I want to show you a couple of examples. Facebook knows this data, to be clear, from a variety of different sources. So one of the things we get stuck up on is, oh, well, I didn't tell Facebook that I was missionally. It pulls data from what we tell it accidentally, i.e., I haven't told it that I'm a Republican, but I like every single thing that a Republican politician is posting. Facebook is smart enough to go, oh, I think we have a Republican in our midst. And then it also, maybe I have a product, I'm going to sell wedding photography. I know that as soon as someone says they're engaged, they're exactly the right person. So this one follows a lot of what you would assume. We go on Facebook, hey, I'm engaged, here's a picture of my ring that someone took from the bushes. And we all, so maybe if I go into behaviors, engaged shoppers. That's interesting. Well, it's pulling from what it believes to be a group of people that are more engaged based on their online activity. A little bit. It helps me with my brand and my goals. Gather all sorts of additional data. Facebook knows what you've been doing on BestBuy.com. It knows what you've been doing on other websites. And it brings a lot of that into this back end here. Here's another one of my favorites. It just knows that. So maybe I realize that my app is a mobile app, and I want to focus on people who are more likely to use mobile. Well, I don't want to just go after millennials. I don't want to make just an assumption that all millennials are always on their phone, even though that assumption is probably true. I want to dive a little bit deeper. I want to get to the layer of data that says these are the people, regardless of age, who are obsessed with their phone. Maybe my mom is in there. Who knows? So if we pull out of the Behavior tab and go into the Demo tab, we can start seeing some other fun stuff. So if I open up Demographics, what if I want to focus on that when someone gets a new job, they're probably more likely to move. Or they're more likely because maybe they got promoted to have more money. So I might go in here and I might go after a new job. This is just another way to get after the newly engaged. I could even do people that are traveling. Maybe I have a product for people that's a security while you're gone sort of product, and it's going to go in your lawn and defend predators file, so that I get beyond the demographics that we're familiar with, and I get to the who are you? And we can be very precise with this when we do it well. Now, we can go after people with lots of money who read a certain magazine, watch a certain TV show, live in a certain area, and are more likely to that I've liked a lot of things on Facebook that I probably don't really like that much. So that data is really not very interesting, in my opinion. I can go after employers. I used to be able to go after job titles, but recent violations of data wants to be able to do. Facebook is kind of sucking that data out of its back end. But what they will do, quite frankly, and I know they're recording this, so hopefully they don't come after me for saying so, Facebook tends to pull data back as a PR move, and then 3 months later, and if you guys are in there, you've probably seen this happen. You and me, perhaps not great for the public. That's a different topic for a different time. So, any questions about the information that Facebook already knows? None of that surprises you? Cool. You've got some pragmatic. I always have that picture. I don't know if you're a fan of Parks and Rec, but Ron finds this out and he takes his computer and throws it in the dumpster. Right? That's about your only option if you don't want them to know this sort of information. So that is a great transition into what can we teach Facebook? How many of you have an email list? Yes. Yay! How many of you have a cell phone list? Okay, not as many of you. So Facebook can match data off of a bunch of different information, and this allows us to teach it things. So let me pull up custom audiences here on Facebook. So you've probably seen these before. If you're up on the main, my customers or my clients are, then to wait for it to learn, or for me to test all these cold audiences. So when we're talking about this sort of approach, we're getting into warmer, often even really hot audiences. So what I might do would be pull this off of a bunch of different information. I'm going to focus, though, on the one at the top. So I can pull this from a customer file. I can take my CRM, dump out 2 columns, phone numbers, emails, and then I can upload that into Facebook's ad platform. And when I do that, I'm going to figure out, okay, here are 2,000 phone numbers. Here are 1,000 people that are on Facebook that match those phone numbers. Bam. I've got them. Same thing with email. Now, if you're really smart and you're in the B2B space, something that people will bring up here often is, well, that's cool, Tim, but and what I love to do, let's go build our own email list of the companies based on just scraping or common sense, right? So an example of that, you might say, hey, I want to go after Herman Miller. They would be a great client for me, but I don't think that I know how to find them on Facebook. Well, we could easily build a list of the 250 emails, or the 2,000 emails is probably more like it, that Herman Miller has. We could upload them to an Excel sheet, and then we could go use another tool to figure out what their personal email address is. We'll probably get a 50 or 60% match on that. Then we'll take the personal email, and we'll upload that list to Facebook to get to the same place. A little bit harder, mind you. And then I'm going to take you to a screen that looks like this. The left-hand side isn't very interesting, but the center of the screen is. So these are all sorts of different audiences that I've done over the last couple of months, or days, depending on when I was awake. So that's easier. But I wanted to get precisely to the people that were members. So what we did is we had an intern spend 2 weeks going through meetup.com, finding every single person, going to find their email, one by one by one by one, and eventually we came up with a list. And we uploaded it. And value in that for reasons that the right message at exactly the right time. So instead of a billboard that says, hey, come to our event, I want to say, hey, you've been to my event before, please come back, you're an important part of the event. And then I want to go to people who have never been there before, and I want to say, hey, you've never heard of Tracy Digital, but if you come, I'll buy you a beer. I want 2 different messages for 2 different groups of people. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. Once you create an audience, let's say you've got 1,000 emails out of your CRM, and it had not enough people to do what we wanted. So we uploaded one of these lists. We got a list of about 5,000, and I said, I'm trying to spend $2,000 a day. That's still not enough money, or still not enough audience size for me to spend that money. So, how do I get a wider audience without going back to that other screen we were on? There's another tool called the lookalike audience. We usually call this LAO for short. The idea here is pretty simple, but very, very much astounding in meaning. I'm going to take that 1,000 email list that came out of my CRM, and I'm going to go tell Facebook, find me another bunch of people, another 10,000 or another 100,000 people that look exactly like the first 1,000. So I've got people that are bona fide clients or customers or whatever. Now Facebook is going to go find them. So if you think back to that other screen, Facebook has over 80. He goes to their headquarters and uses like a FOIA sort of thing to demand that they give him his data. And after a couple of months with lawyers, he eventually succeeds, and he walks out with a pile of paper, no kidding, this tall. And that's just on him. And as you're watching, really powerful. I can also build a customer lookalike audience off of people that visit my website. And that's the next really fun thing. So we're still in that bucket. What can we teach Facebook? How can we make Facebook and Instagram's advertising be even better than it already was? And here I have the Facebook pixel. How many of you have this on your site? So look around. Oh, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Those are the people to go talk to later, because they're doing something really right. And I mean that sincerely. The Facebook pixel is one of the single-handedly most important things about Facebook and Instagram. So I take the pixel, I give it to a web developer. It's a little tiny line of code, and that web developer puts it on my site. If you're trying to do things well, following best practices, my advice would be you want to put this in with the Google all with one little line of parent code. And from a marketing standpoint, I don't know about you, but the marketing teams in my life don't always make nice with the developers and vice versa, right? We want this, and the developer has these 50 other things to do, and it's really important for us, but not that urgent for them. So it's just, even if you're not advertising $1,000 to do something fun with, even if you know that that's the case, this records historical data. So, like last year, we knocked on every single door of any of our retail clients. We said, hey, it's okay that you've already told us no to running Facebook ads this year, even though we think you are kind of crazy. Please let us put this on your site for free. It'll take you 5 minutes. So we install this on, we're teaching it, and then it starts kind of teaching itself. So here's just like a silly example. I'm going to use our site just so I don't pick on anybody. Well, let's just say that the main goal of our site is to get you to click on the Contact Us button. Click on one of these buttons. Maybe our ads are sending them right to this page because we are apparently failing in this example. That would be a crazy thing to do, right? But let's imagine that we're doing it. We're sending them to this page. It says Contact Us, and they don't do what we want them to do. Imagine such a world. If they don't do those two things, then I want you to beat them up with ads, right? So, in this simplified example, what that pixel is going to allow me to do is it's going to track who doesn't click on that and who does. And I'm interested in them for different reasons, right? The person who didn't click on it, I would argue a message. And then the people that click on that, and maybe they fill out the form and they submit it, but if you're like me, you experience this all the time, they go into a black hole, right? Oh, I have 100 leads. 2 months later, I haven't heard from any of my leads. I don't know why. If you're in B2B especially, you have a longer life cycle. Okay, here's a group of 100 people over the last 30 days that did not come back to you after filling out the form. They're not converted all the way. We're going to send them the most aggressive sort of advertising we can come up with. You're going to see ads so often with so many messages. You're going to think that our blog is the most. But the point of the story or the example is that the pixel allows me to make smaller buckets. It allows me to track whether or not you did what I wanted you to do. You can transition this really easy into e-commerce or SaaS, right? On a site where I'm selling, let's say, flowers, I'm going to show a special ad to the people that landed on the wedding flowers, bright colors, when you were shopping for funeral flowers. It's a little bit weird. So, again, it's that right message to the right people at the right time at the right place. That brings us to the last part of the pixel.
For certain pages of our website.
I like that second one even better. What are you showing them?
Trying not to disclose my client. Showing them a video. Well, we have video and static ads going depending on which page they visit. So we're A/B testing those things together.
I love that. First date. The second video is the pitch. It's the, hey, I've warmed you up. I've figured out how to get you to know more about my why. Now let me tell you my what and how to get you money, right? So that sort of funnel uses the pixel to track where are you at in the funnel. The biggest mistake that I see people making on digital right now across the board is the words, but it doesn't really belong on the internet. So, last but not least, what can we teach? Facebook was fun, but what does Facebook just kind of learn on its own? So we're kind of getting into that bucket right now. So if we pull up the pixel, go back, over here, I'm going to go to the events section. Accidentally put that someone who will sue me. But this is where all the information from my pixel will come in. And there's this idea, or philosophy I should call it, that's out there, that you have to spend a certain amount of money to teach your pixel. You'll often hear about this if you get like really nerdy and you go into these Facebook papers to give Facebook more data. And the way to give data to Facebook is conveniently from Facebook to give it money. Right? So if we're starting with an account that has never spent $1 on Facebook before and just put the pixel on their site, I already know it's going to take 30 to 60 days and $3,000 to $10,000 to get Facebook to the point where it knows you're in the ads manager and you're making changes and you're making notes and you're turning stuff up, you're turning stuff down. But while you're doing that, Facebook is going Terminator 3 style on you and it's learning. Hey, 2,000 people just came to the site and they bought something. Facebook instantly goes, I'm going to find more of those people. It is certainly debatable as to whether or not Facebook is a wonderful click, etc., on what you want them to buy, click, etc. on. So Facebook gets smarter. One of the other things that we could do with the pixel is we can run a conversion ad. So if you go back to the little beginning page there, and you're on the ads manager, and you're creating an ad, you can actually create, I care about how many people did exactly what I wanted them to do, which usually results in a credit card swipe. So bidding on a conversion allows me to say, hey, Facebook, I'm willing to give you $5 if you get me $50 worth of sales. I'm willing to give you X to get you Y. This is what your ad should ultimately be running on with a few, except Facebook gets really smart. If you're on Google, and I use Google even though we're talking about Facebook because Google and Facebook both do these, and it's easier to find them on Google. Maybe I'm looking for a used car part in Grand Rapids, Michigan. These ads that come up are called shopping ads. When they come up, that was anticlimactic. You gotta tell people that's a sponsored piece of content, which is a pretty common debate. So these are great because Facebook, Google, all of these channels, I would say, they can get smarter. They can pull my product feed. So if I'm selling trucks or cars or parts or grills or whatever it might be, these product feed ads will start running automatically. All I do is build an XML file, RSS, whatever you want to think of it as, and as soon as I add one, lo and behold, an ad appears. It probably is more common to see these with clothing. So maybe if I did like women's sweaters, J. Crew, I'll probably get them that way. There they are at the top. That's what I'm really thinking about. I don't want to have to click on that. I am personally most in love with. If you are working with a brick and mortar location that has a point of sale or a POS, and you go back to the same section, there's a tool called offline events, or a feature called offline events. And here's what I do with this. I wake up and I realize, I'm not getting enough credit as a marketer. Pixel to connect with my point of sale. How you do that is always a very adventurous journey. because it really depends on your point of sale. If you've got Shopify, you might hate your website, but good news, it's really easy to get at this. If you've got something proprietary, you're going to have to bring in likely a digital marketing automation specialist, someone who can do some code. They're going to build the connection. But here's what it does, if you've already guessed, it allows Facebook to say, you got 5,000 sales online from Facebook ads, and you got another 3,000 at point of sale. And now Facebook attribution, although still never perfect, has gotten better. I'm able to go back to my store manager and say, hey, you know how you don't like giving me money? Here's what I did. I don't have to rely on word of mouth or promo codes or people talking to the store about where they found things. So, my timer went off, which means I'm supposed to shut up soon. I believe that the goal is to wrap up the question. Here's a cool idea or a cool thing I've done. I'd also love to hear that.
So, Facebook has all this data. Does it provide you back some of those raw measures about those individuals that do click and do things, and those that don't? I know you said that the boost is crap.
So I could, let's say I had 1,000 customers that I uploaded, and then I had 1,000 people that liked the page. I could run those as separate tests, and I probably should. But I can't get user-level data. Otherwise, Facebook would really. But I can't get user-level data. I can get aggregate level.
But then will it tell you how similar those people are to each other? Like, to give you a number back that says, this group is this similar to this group, and give you a numeric value?
Overlap? Yeah, it'll help you figure out the overlap. Absolutely. Because you want to know that, right? Like, hey, I'm giving this one $1,000 a month. I'm giving this one $1,000 a month. Are they the same people? There's definitely a way to figure out the overlap.
If I don't have a link, they're not. It's hard to get them to convert over to my site where all the good stuff is. Do you know what I mean?
I know there's a lot of debate out there about, they make it more expensive or harder if I'm sending traffic off of the site. I haven't seen any about us, right?
They don't sell my product.
Right. So my goal is to get them to my site where I have control over them, and then I'm going to remarket to them.
So just every time, just put your link in then.
Yeah, I'm a careful person, so I won't use the word every time. But
most of the time.
Well, often, if I'm trying to sell something, yeah.
Especially if you bought.
And or inspirational suggestions.
You said, so Facebook owns Instagram, but is there anything special about Instagram we should know about?
I would say that there's nothing special about Instagram. There's a bunch of different ad formats you can do, although it seems like every time Instagram releases an ad, and therefore if you're trying to focus on millennials, it makes more sense to place your ads on Instagram. I would probably be a believer in that most of the time. You really have to think through, how big is your budget? And this is a challenge all the time, right? You got $1,000 a month. If I don't have enough money to justify it, I'll pick a placement and I'll focus just on that. But other than the content, and usually we let that get to about 2, sometimes 2.5 before we start worrying about it. You can also always just keep an eye on your relevancy score. So that's the other metric that you don't like to get too low. So if you're familiar with Google, you can always. What we like to do often is kind of wait. We'll spend money. We'll be testing our content and our target audiences and our call to action. We'll wait until we get a relevancy score that's high enough before we start really dumping money in. And I think that's another common misconception. People don't realize how much money this needs. Black Friday is a great example. They're going to spend $30,000 to $40,000 per half day.
Ouch.
So you're $100.
So it really isn't for the small mom and pop.
A little tiny campaign last year, we spent $2,000 and we made someone $5. And they were just a little store down the street who happened to have an amazing product and really good branding.
That's where the targeting, the filtering.
Yep.
Hey, Tim, you
Isn't if the goal is branding and impressions, which I also don't really love, but I usually don't, unless I'm running into some sort of roadblock. The audience network is I think it's very lackluster yet. But I would say the same. I have the same critique of Google's display advertisement network to a certain extent. So that's not to say it doesn't have a place. It does. But if I got $100 and my lowest is sell something, definitely not. Amen. Yeah, I love it. So for me, what aggregate means semantically would be, I can't tell you the names and the income of the 30 people on my street, but I can tell you from an aggregate level, like, hey, they tend to be from New York, and they tend to be female, and they tend to have this amount of money.
Do you get that broken down in percentages or raw numbers?
Yeah, it'll give you percentages. Give you nice little pie charts. Yeah, aggregate does tend to be a nice way of saying, we're not going to tell you what you want to know, but we're going to tell you something. I hear you, right? And that's, truthfully, that's probably the reality. They're not going to tell you exactly what you want to know, but they'll tell you quite a bit.
I think one takeaway is first thing you can do when you get back to work is start putting a pixel on your site. And,
Please.
Yeah, and not just Facebook, but I know LinkedIn, who else is, like, Reddit, they all pretty much have a pixel.
But what do they get from your site? You're giving something to them when you put
Giving them your user data.
I mean, that's a lot of information, and we're getting nothing for it.
You get better targeting.
Right, that's it.
Maybe.